Scream from 1996. Sorry guys, hold on a second. Hello?
What's your favorite scary movie?
Definitely the first one.
Cool. Bye now.
Okay, thanks. Bye. Sorry guys, that was my mom. Hey buddy, how's it going? My name is Brandon, aka the BrandoCritic, and I want to say thank you so much for being here and clicking on this video. I'm sending you a ton of positive vibes your way. Today I'm going to give you my honest, no BS review for Scream from 1996 and tell you if it's still worth a watch today. If you want to support this channel, then definitely hit like and subscribe, and if you want to really support the channel, then come visit me on my Patreon page. And don't forget about my partners at Movie Scene Canada as well. Their link will be down below in the description. So, we have Scream from 1996, directed by Wes Craven, and you know him from such films as the Scream franchise, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Hills Have Eyes, Vampire in Brooklyn, and Music of the Heart. And in this story, we have Sidney Prescott, played by Neve Campbell, a high school student who's dealing with the post-trauma of her mother's rape and murder almost exactly a year before the events of this movie. She is also dating a boy named Billy Loomis, played by Skeet Ulrich, who wants to have sex, but she isn't quite ready yet. One night, two classmates of Sidney's, Casey, played famously by Drew Barrymore, and Steve are killed by someone in a ghost-faced Halloween costume after a vicious phone call. Thus, a giant police investigation begins, which draws a large group of media, including reporter Gail Weathers, played by Courtney Cox, the woman responsible for spreading rumors about Sidney's mother's death a year ago. That day, the killer calls Sidney and attacks her, but is unsuccessful. However, her boyfriend Billy shows up directly afterwards and drops his cell phone, thus prompting Sidney to suspect him of committing the phone calls and the murder. With the help of her friends and Deputy Sheriff Dwight Dewey Riley, played by David Arquette, Sidney must find the identity of her mysterious phone stalker. So is this movie worth a watch? Absolutely, this is a really well-made movie because it is meta, it is satirical, it is self-deconstructing, yet still manages to be entertaining and scary. The reason why Scream to me is so famous is because it is so self-aware. It name drops all of the horror classics like
Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street,
Friday the 13th.
The Exorcist was on.
And not only that, but it openly mocks the cliches of the horror genre, even though this is a movie in the horror genre. There's a character named Randy, played by Jamie Kennedy, who works at Blockbuster, and there's a scene where he talks about the rules of the horror movie.
This is standard horror movie stuff. If it gets too complicated, you lose your target audience.
And he basically goes over the formula that this movie is doing.
There's a formula to it. A very simple formula!
And not only that, there's a party where all the kids get together and they watch Halloween and they openly mock the cliches of that movie, thus openly mocking the cliches of the movie that they're in themselves. Scream. Now, when you get a self-aware movie, it can go either one of two ways. It can become very pretentious because I've seen movies where they're going, hey guys, look at us, we know what we're doing, but they don't do it well, and it just becomes extremely cringeworthy. But Scream keeps it fresh. Not only do they commit to the cliches that they're making fun of, but they subvert them and they have fun with them. For example, when Sidney says,
some stupid killer stalking some big-breasted girl who can't act, it's insulting.
then they do a play on the scene doing just that. But of course, she's making fun of that situation.
Oh, you want to play psycho killer? Can I be the helpless victim? Okay, let's see. No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface.
That's an example of them subverting those cliches, but then another one is when they go,
There he is. I told you. He's right around the corner. I'll turn behind you.
and they're basically having fun with the cliches. The film always seems to be a step in front of the audience. Now, with the film basically telling us what it's going to do, much like comedy, horror works when it's unexpected. So with the film telling us what to expect, does it become less scary? Well, actually no, and there are three reasons for that. Number one, that wonderful opening scene. Number two, the brutal kills. And number three, the fact that the characters talk about horror movies almost grounds the movie into a new reality. Like, let's talk about that first scene. It is just so iconic. It's one of the best horror scenes in any movie ever. You have that wonderful line,
What's your favorite scary movie?
and they're pulling an Alfred Hitchcock. They cast Drew Barrymore and they kill her off in the very first scene. That's very psycho of them. Now, I was only one when this movie came out, but my friends who saw this movie in the theater, they said that they were shocked. They were like, we saw Drew Barrymore on all the posters and all the advertising, and they killed her off in the first scene, completely subverting the expectations, making it very scary. And one thing that I really like about this scene is that the parents are coming into the door at the very end, and like, hope is there. The hope is right there. They could save them, but she can't reach out to them. She can't speak because she was stabbed in the throat. It's like, oh, salvation is right there, but just oh so close. It makes it even scarier. So the film basically starts off with a great scene, a great bang. Yes, guys, this is going to be a scary movie. Even though it's self-aware, it's self-deprecating, it's still scary. And you have the brutal kills, and really I'm talking about the garage door, right? Everyone loves the garage door scene. And lastly, when the characters mention the horror movies that we all know and love, it basically puts us into that world. Like, we know these movies, we've seen Halloween, we've seen Friday the 13th, we know the cliches, but the characters in the movie also know the cliches. It's not one of those worlds where it's like, oh, there's a Freddy Krueger creature who can kill you in your dreams, there's Michael Myers who's basically unkillable. And for me personally, once it gets into that supernatural territory, it becomes boring, where I'm like, okay, it's not even tangible. And you have no way of escaping, so what's the point? This killer just cannot be defeated. Sure, that could be a bit more scary for people, but I find that stuff boring. But that's just me. In this movie, for example, it's grounded in reality. It's just teenagers deciding to go mad and go crazy. And to me, that's scarier. And even though it is making fun of the horror genre, this film really is a love letter to the horror genre as well. And it's just little things, like the fact that Wes Craven even makes a cameo dressed as Freddy Krueger, but he's a janitor in the school. And like I said earlier, the fact that they do make fun of the cliches, like the horny teenager joke.
Here's the obligatory chick shot.
Yes! Oh, lovely! Oh!
They know exactly what they're doing. And when the principal is ratting out those two kids, he's got these abnormally large scissors that are very shiny, very sharp, and then the sound effects are really loud.
Hello, students, show your passion and sensitivity. Fairness.
They're just having fun with it. It's great. But on top of that, this movie has a lot of good elements that would get the A+ on the film school report card. Like the cast. Neve Campbell is one of the best horror protagonists ever. She's vulnerable, she's smart, she's badass, she's extremely likable. She really channels her inner Jamie Lee Curtis. She's a great protagonist for this movie. Courtney Cox also impressed me the most because she does a great job of playing that hard-nosed, unethical, selfish, bitchy reporter. And she has great chemistry with David Arquette, who's also great in the movie, and you can see the chemistry start to form there, and you can really tell that, yeah, this is the movie where they fell in love. Matthew Lillard is great also as like that popular dumbass, right? Like every school had one. There's a guy who's a complete idiot, but yet he's the most popular guy because he's funny, he's the class clown. Although at the end of the movie, he gets a little over the top for my taste, but overall, Matthew Lillard was good in this movie too. But Skeet Ulrich, I thought he was just okay. I don't think he's the best actor out there, and I think that Wes Craven really cast him because he looks like Johnny Depp from Nightmare on Elm Street. They do look similar. I also like that this movie keeps you guessing by showing the shoes of all the male characters, because it's like, okay, is he the killer? Is this the killer? Is he the killer? You know, it keeps you on your toes, and it's like a whodunit type of movie as well. The pacing is amazing. It felt like it was moving along at a great pace, and the score is very unique and very memorable. It kind of feels like that GoldenEye mid to late 90s postmodernism type of score. It's wonderful. My only complaint with this movie is that we don't really see the Sidney mother storyline really play out. We have characters talking about it, but we don't actually see it. Now, in the sequels, they do talk about it some more, and they do flesh it out a little bit more, but I wish that I saw it as opposed to just hearing about it. Now, I can understand why they didn't start the movie off that way, because that Drew Barrymore scene for the opening is just fantastic. It's nothing terrible. That's like my only real complaint with this movie. So for an overall rating, I'm gonna give this movie a 4 out of 5. It's scary, it's enjoyable, it's well done, it's self-deprecating, it's meta, and still really engaging. So now you know my thoughts on Scream from 1996, but I would like to know yours. Leave them down in the comment section down below. And thank you so much for sticking with me to the end of this video. I really do appreciate it. If you want to see more videos just like this, then definitely hit like and subscribe. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd at BrandoCritic. And you can also find me on Patreon and support me there, just like these wonderful people. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.